Well, you can't listen to the New York Times because you won't hear anything. But those of you who don't read the New York Times either online or whatever, page A21, it's in section A, but it's way in the back. It's definitely not a headline. It's definitely not even a B headline. It's in the back. And the only quote they used from Comey was in the main, the article was not true. Not the almost entirely wrong quote that was brought on later on by Senator Cotton that Jim Comey agreed with. That's all they used. And of course they went on to, blather on about, explaining how other media outlets have since done their own reporting and come up with pretty much the same conclusion. That whole gamut of stories that sprung from the story that the New York Times got wrong. Saying that all these other places did independent evaluation. They just doubled down on your lazy reporting, New York Times. Get with it here. Take some responsibility for your horrible reporting. I thought maybe you had learned your lesson, New York Times, after the election, when you all but fangirled for Hillary Clinton. I thought you learned your lesson when your publisher, Arthur Salzberger, wrote that letter to its readers saying that we would do better, we would rededicate ourselves to journalism. I'm paraphrasing here, but the word rededicate was there. Rededicate implies that you had not been dedicating yourself prior to that, and that's why you got the election wrong. So in this rededication, we're now 8 months into this rededication of the New York Times, and what are we finding? You learned nothing. All you've done is try to find a more insidious way to get to President Trump, now President Trump. And you do it by attacking from the shadows. And when you attack from the shadows, you're dead wrong. Oh, excuse me, almost completely wrong. So there may be 1% of truth, or whatever it is, 5% of truth. Point being, you're totally and absolutely discredited. You're done. You're killing yourself off. Instead of owning the problem, you are the problem. And honestly, it's now your problem because it's no longer the people's problem. Because I guarantee you, after the past week and a half, 2 weeks, especially given what happened during the election, and what was found in all the emails of how, you were basically giving advice to John Podesta in those leaked emails from the hacking that is currently under investigation. You learned nothing. You doubled down. You got caught with your pants down again. And your reputation is shot. It's done. Why anyone would take you seriously beyond this point other than your name is beyond me. Because you've proven yourselves to be a bunch of hacks going after the president. Going after his people. And going after America, really. And trying to pull the wool over the American people's eyes. Get better or get out of the way, New York Times. And the same thing goes for all the secondary news aggregators and linking, clickbaiting, page view hungry media out there, of which you could say I'm a part of, and that's fine by me. But I'll say this. My reporting, quote unquote, if you want to call it reporting, my opinion making, my op-ed, my feature work, my interviewing, you can all verify the people who I interview. You can all see the writing that I write, and I show my work. You guys gotta get, if you're gonna call yourself news organizations, listen, I know I'm not, but if you're gonna call yourself news organizations, can you at least do the work of a news organization? Or are you just gonna lazily let the big guys, quote unquote, do the work and then piggyback off of that and ride the coattails of antiquated, incredible media? Not credible anymore. You want to ride those coattails? Go right ahead. But you're doing it at your own peril. Because I think the American people know right now, and maybe we're seeing this growing later on, I think the time has come that media is taking a back seat to the opinion of the American people, and people are going out and searching it out for themselves, finally, what is actually happening and what is fake news. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about what could be a new McCarthyism. And that's going after Trump conservatives with scandalous and unfounded allegations. Gene Baradelli, Behind Enemy Lines. We'll be back right after these brief words. If you're a long-time listener of the show, or maybe this is your first time listening, you can probably tell that me and the gang here, we like to have our share of fun, whether it's on or off the air. We talk about 2-drink minimum radio and no medication Wednesdays or whatever day it may be. That's why when we found the people at Less Government, More Fun, we knew it was a match made in heaven with this show. Folks, we live in a time where government is out of hand. Our founding fathers did not intend government to be all-consuming in all parts of our lives. That's why we are telling you to go to lessgovmorefun.com, check out the website, check out the swag. What the people want is less government, more fun. Pass it on, make it happen.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org, brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines Radio is all about being right. No, seriously, it is. If you ever listen to Russ Gallo or me go back and forth on some issue, we always want to make sure that we remember who said what and when we said it. That's why we go to goonrecord.com. It's a brand new social media website. Challenge people on what they believe, whether it's in politics, sports, entertainment, finance, whatever. There's a category for you at goonrecord.com. Check it out right now. Tell us, what do you stand for? It's time for you to go on record. Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air. Gene Baradelli, back behind Enemy Lines. Quick programming note. In about 2 weeks, June 28th, June 29th, Behind Enemy Lines Radio goes to the Foundation for American Immigration Reform's Hold Their Feet to the Fire Radio Row event. We have some amazing interviews lined up for that week, which we will broadcast on our 4th of July show. That's going to be amazing. The timing of that is absolutely phenomenal. We're going to have Senator Mike Lee is scheduled to do an interview with us. We have so many great people coming on. Of course, Congressman Jody Arrington. Neil Monroe from Breitbart's going to be joining us once again. We're going to have Congressman Mike Rogers from Alabama coming on the show. Got some great guests lined up. More and more signing up every day. And we'll keep you updated on that as the weeks progress towards this great event that we are turning into an annual tradition here behind Enemy Lines. And we're really excited to be going. Always great to get down to D.C. to see exactly what's going on in the bubble, as I like to call it. And you know what? It's going to be an interesting time in Washington as we hold their feet to the fire on immigration issues at FAIR's Radio Row event. It's going to be great. Folks, we're just about at halftime here on the show, maybe a little bit before. Thanks for tuning in to Behind Enemy Lines Radio. I'm Gene Baradelli. Russ Gallo is up at his annual drill with the New York National Guard. We're going to get him on very soon. Guaranteed to be on during the show that we tape at FAIR in D.C. at that Radio Row. But until then, you're stuck with me. I want to thank you guys for listening. Check us out at www.behindenemylinesradio.us. Check us out on the Facebooks and the Twitters at BEL_radio. And if you missed any part of the show that we normally broadcast live Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker, you can check us out at any one of our rebroadcast outlets, including WJHC 107.5 FM in Jasper, Florida. WDDQ 92.1 FM in Adel, Georgia. WLBB 1330 AM in Carrollton, Georgia. All part of the rechristened Talk America Radio Network. I'm going to have to get used to saying that one. It's a brand new network that formerly was with Red Nation Rising Radio, and we're glad and happy to be on this brand new network. We're going to talk about that in the weeks and months to come. You can also check us out at KLRN Radio, High Plains Talk Radio, and Sackheads Media, ICRN, the Internet's Conservative Radio Network, which powers the Talk America Radio Network, and Lanterns Radio, of course, one of the fastest growing internet radio spots on the webs. Check them out at lanterns.buzz. If you missed any part of the rebroadcasts, which are under our network listings at www.behindenemylinesradio.us, you can check us out as a podcast anytime you like. We're on Spreaker, as you know. We're also on Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbay, Player FM, Google Play Music, discover us on there, SoundCloud, Auto Radio, which is SiriusXM's podcasting project, of course, iTunes, and the mighty iHeartRadio Network. We're happy to be on iHeartRadio, man. It's so great to be part of so many great podcasting outlets and networks and to watch the show grow. Talk America Radio is going to be an awesome project that you'll see, like I said, in the weeks and months to come. And that's about it for all the plugs and all the talking and all the nonsense about us. Let's get back to more talk about this news overload week that we've been experiencing between the Comey hearing and this week's I don't want to call it a mugging or an attack, but what Jeff Sessions went through this week, I have to say, I didn't live through the McCarthy era. As we hear a truck run by the studio here, I thought I was doing this late enough that we wouldn't have that kind of traffic, but whatever. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, when he stepped into this lion's den. He's probably old enough to remember, McCarthyism and the witch hunts perpetrated by the government looking for communists in our midst and all that. It's the stuff of movies, it's the stuff of legend. But in this case, it's pretty much there's so many parallels here. There's all these allegations with no evidence. In this case, we're talking about evidence of collusion between members of the Trump campaign and Russian intelligence operatives. But even the mere presence of a Russian official at the same event where Jeff Sessions, then Senator Sessions, was present, is enough to create a Senate committee inquiry into whether he's colluding with the Russians to skew election results. Now, this is a man who has dedicated 50 years of his life to public service. And we have these senators, first of all, the rude response that he was given, absolutely uncalled for and ridiculous. But not for nothing, the man had to come back a second time, basically, because this is all prompted by whether or not he answered Senator Franklin's questions during his confirmation hearing properly. About two instances where he was in the same room, and I use the term room loosely because we're talking about like a large event in one point, and the other point in his capacity as a senator for one of the foreign affairs committees that he was sitting on. And they had the temerity to call this man's reputation into question, call him a colluder with a foreign power. There is no dispute that Jeff Sessions was honest during his confirmation hearings, and he was honest now. To watch this man have to go through this because Democrats, and I'm going to put this squarely on them, wanted to turn a misunderstanding or an unclear statement or an inartful remark into a further inquiry into basically treason is absolutely astonishing. I'm so exasperated by this because to say that a then U.S. Senator talking to a Russian ambassador at an event during the RNC, which, by the way, was also sponsored by, departments of the Obama administration, And to say that that is conclusive evidence of collusion, my God, have we lost all sense of perspective? Have we?